is sponsored by School of Rock North Buffalo, where they are making musicians every day.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Talking About Rock. I'm your host, Rob Edwards. Here we bring you rock interviews from veteran and upcoming artists. Subscribe on our YouTube channel to stay up to date, and follow us on our social media and our website, talkingaboutrock.com. Today we have with us a Grammy-nominated music producer and audio engineer, also a singer-songwriter, as well as the president of the Buffalo, New York Music Hall of Fame. He's here to talk with us about his latest release, Life Goes On. Let's say hello to Anthony Casuccio. Anthony, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excellent. So good to speak with you again. You know, reading through some of your accomplishments, man, here, it's just great. You've done mastering and mixing for so many artists, but tell us a little bit about creating your latest release here, Life Goes On.
So Life Goes On it's a very personal song for me. And it's been a long time since I've actually really put my heart and soul into a project like this. So my mother passed away in January. And, you know, with just dealing with her being sick for, half a year leading up to that, and then dealing with her passing and all the things that I needed to do after the fact, I was just roped up in, everyday life. And I really couldn't mourn. And so one night, a couple months after, it was probably in March or so, I was watching a really bad, cheesy movie, but it was about somebody who had cancer. And I think it was with Luke Wilson, and he ends up getting, cured at the end. But when the movie ended, I just lost it and just broke down. And I even though I was crying, I had a smile on my face. I thought to myself, you know what? I'm finally letting these emotions out.
Right.
And I just sat down and I came up with this thought of, when I look in my mom's room, she's not there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I got a pen and paper and I wrote the song down. So because of that grieving process, I composed the whole song, and it's a tribute to my mom, but then it's evolved into a tribute to both my parents who passed on.
Excellent. Yeah, you can feel all the emotion and spirit in that song, definitely, for sure. And a lot of times that's what a lot of great songwriters do, right? They use their emotion and all their different things they're going through, and sometimes that creates the best music, for sure.
Yeah, and for me, the success of the song has been fantastic, and it's a song that people who I don't even know have paid attention to my music releases or musical releases come up to me and they're like, thank you, or I'm so proud of you, or that really touched me. And that really means something to me. And I haven't really had a song that people have really gravitated towards, and out of the blue, random people just reach out to me or hug me, so I feel very fortunate that I can connect with people and they can relate to the song.
Yeah, definitely very emotional and a great track. And I'm going to take a quick break here, and we'll play the video and the track for Life Goes On. We'll be right back here with Anthony on Talking About Rock.
When I walk into your old room, I can see you there where you once stood. Now we carry on without you. I try to be strong for my growing too. Now I know that life goes on, full of possibility. But this room is so empty without you. I miss your words, I miss your smile, the family time, it was so nice. Your strength, your jokes, the love you gave, first kiss, first job, the wanted advice. Thank you, but life goes and to God I prayed and thanked Him for the life you made. For me, my sis, the kids and more of the love you gave. I often get sad when I think of the past, realize my life's half over and it won't last forever. I miss your words, I miss your smile, the family time, it was so nice. Your strength, your jokes, the love you gave, first kiss, first job, the wanted advice. Without you, life goes on, life goes on, and on and on and on. We carry on, and on and on. We carry on. I miss your words, I miss your smile, the family time, it was so nice. Your strength, your jokes, the love you gave, first kiss, first job, the wanted advice, the camping trips, the soccer games, my biggest fan, you always came, the sacrifice, the lessons learned, you're in my heart, respect was earned. Thank you. Life goes on. Life goes on. Life goes on. Life goes on.
Okay, we're back here on Talking About Rock. Checked out the song for the video and song for Life Goes On. Just amazing, beautiful
Thank
track. You have such a long history of music, mastering, producing. Oh my gosh! So I was reading through the list here. You did received a degree in '91 from
Yep.
From the very famous Tonmeister program. And then it looks like you got recruited and picked by Reader's Digest to do production with BMG Studios.
Yes, and it's funny too. So here I was, graduating from Fredonia, riding my mountain bike with a tie-dye on, and then, 3 weeks later, I'm in New York City with a three-piece suit on, working in the biggest studios in the city. And when I was recruited for Reader's Digest, I thought to myself, Reader's Digest, that's the magazine in my grandma's bathroom. Well, it turned out they had the largest independent record label in the world, and they had divisions in 21 countries, and the United States being the biggest with 50% of the volume. And, for me, it was amazing because I got to work with these amazing engineers. I really learned to cut my teeth, and I was working on music that I wasn't familiar with. There was a lot of big band, a lot of classical, even some jazz. And for me, it was amazing because I got to really expand my musical horizons, and that has come back tenfold with my writing, with my creating other projects or producing for people, because I've got this arsenal now of knowledge of different styles to pull from. So it was really amazing.
Yeah, so many varied artists. I was looking through the list here. Some of the folks you've worked with: Tony Bennett, Ray Orbison, Linda Ronstadt, Glenn Miller, Johnny Cash, Les Paul. Just a little bit of everything, like you said, of going there, which is just amazing to me. It's just fantastic. And then sometime later, I don't know when, you joined Sony Music in San Francisco to build and run their audio production department as well, right?
So that was, I was in New York almost 10 years. And then in 2001, I went out to California, and it was a big step for me because I thought New York City was the center of the universe, but I needed a change. I was getting in a lot of trouble in New York City. I loved it. I had a really fun group of friends. I had started some endeavors on the side with a record label and was doing other things. But I needed a change. And going out there, it was amazing because I ended up running the audio production department for this startup investment that Sony Music created. And we were just a little bit ahead of our time, unfortunately. And we were doing podcasts before podcasts were a thing, you know?
Right.
But I got to work with another whole group of amazing people, but in the studio live, like the band Lifehouse. So, you know, I ended up doing 3 songs in the studio with them, and Casey Chambers, who was a very big kind of folk country artist that was blowing up in that time. She was from Australia. Nina Gordon from Veruca Salt, and Joe Satriani, and Mark Olson from the Jayhawks, and Victoria Williams. You know, it was just it was an amazing experience to do these things and then have a crew underneath you. But then besides bands, we were also doing lifestyle programming. So we were interviewing political figures and, you know, actors and things. And I, you know, would have my crew go and set up and do things, or we go to festivals. Like I remember no one wanted to go to this big festival in Golden Gate Park. I'm like, are you kidding me? Beck is headlining. You know, the Go-Go's are there. I'm going with a producer. We're going to interview the lead singer from Tonic. You know, I'm like,
right. Why would you miss that? Yeah.
Why would you miss that? You know, so it opened up a whole other experience to me about music, about live recording, but also delivering it through the internet. So that's what got me even, you know, going into that direction and figuring out what are the codecs, what sounds the best. And then that led me to my mastering and saying like, listen, you know, I've got the old school mastering. I've got the new school technique. If I can marry them, I think I've got something going on here, especially when the internet's become the new delivery platform.
Oh yeah, definitely. Streaming is a delivery platform for sure. Music nowadays, right? As it's all digital, and that's kind of the way everybody gets it. And I was reading you're also a columnist for an independent musician magazine as well for a while.
Yeah, I was. So that was a lot of fun. So that was I Am Magazine, or independent music magazine that was out of San Francisco, and I had, you know, they approached me to do a weekly column, and I'm like, really? And I didn't really like writing, but I got into this because I would do technical answers to people, answering questions about mastering, or, you know, some
right.
complicated, some, you know, newbies, so to speak. And I was enjoying it. And, you know, I started getting a little bit of a fan base and getting letters. I get to pick which thing I wanted to talk about for the following month. But then towards, you know, the middle of the 2000s, you know, again, we had another recession in the bubble burst, so to speak,
right.
of the dot-com bubble. So,
right.
so they ended up, you know, going out of business, which was tough because I really enjoyed doing that aspect. I think that got me into thinking about teaching as well, you know, because it's like, here, I can answer these questions and kind of repeat and relay some of the information that I've gathered over time.
Right. Is that around the time then when you decided to start Xtream Audio and put that together?
Yes. So that was, matter of fact, it was because of Xtream Audio that I got the gig at the magazine. So when I was working for Sony ended up pulling their funding. And this was crazy too, because they invested all this money into this building, you know, startup building, and, you know, had all the best IT networks and everything. And they're like, you know what, see you later, everybody.
Yeah, I think they were doing a reorg around that time or something.
That was, yeah. And they ended up, they were in the process of selling Sony Studios out in New York as well. So they were doing this reorg. And so everybody at where I was laid off. And they kept me on because I built the studios, right? So like, well, why don't you liquidate the studios? You know, let's see what we can get, you know. So for me, I knocked everything down to pennies on the dollar, and then I bought the equipment. And then I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I should go back to the one love that I have, and that's mastering. Right. And that's what I was doing in New York City. I was remastering and restoration work. And I'm like, if I can make an older recording sound great, imagine what I can do with a new recording.
Right.
And that's when I started Xtream Audio, and this magazine was just starting out, and they wanted to create a CD to go along with the first 3 or 4 issues. So they're like, would you master it? What would you charge? And I'm like, I don't know. Why don't you give me an ad? And they're like, really? So they designed me this incredible ad that ran in the magazine for 5 months. And it's in exchange, I was doing mastering for them. And then they're like, you're so knowledgeable. Why don't you come on board and write an article for us, or have a column? And that's what led into that whole endeavor. Excellent. And then that opened up a whole other bunch of doors for me too. With, I got involved in the hip hop world. I'm a guy from Buffalo. I'm a guitar player, right? And my first couple clients were hip hop clients, and I ended up, doing a really good job and treating them with respect. That blew open that area. I started doing some of the biggest hip hop, artists coming out of the, Vallejo, Oakland, San Francisco, San Jose. And then this magazine turned me on to DJs. So I started getting into the EDM. It wasn't called EDM at that time, but into the dance music world. And I remember I did a compilation for Red Bull, and that was it. Like everybody wanted to work with me in that genre from that area. Cause like, well, shit, if Red Bull can work with you and pick you out, then you got to be somebody, right?
Right, exactly.
So it's like one thing led to another, and that's kind of how I've lived my life of going and getting work.
Yeah, and that led you to 3 Grammy-nominated albums you mastered as well.
Yeah, well, so when I was in San Francisco, before I got there, an engineer friend of mine named Michael Moran, who was one of the 3 or 4 engineers who took me under their wing, and they really, really worked with me about, honing my chops, and they just taught me how to hear. And this guy worked with Elvis and the Kinks and David Bowie, and he's like, you need to get involved with the Grammys. So he got me, he recommended me. I ended up doing an application, and I became a voting member for the Grammys. And then I was on a committee, a historical preservation committee in New York. Well, they told me to, they called up the gatekeeper, so to speak.
Right.
And to the San Francisco chapter, like, you got to get this guy involved. Eventually I was voted onto the board of governors there and became second vice president. And that's when I met some amazing people, incredible people who are doing stuff. And I met some classical producers and blues producers, and that led me to getting projects that ended up becoming nominated for Grammys.
Amazing. So when
a door opens, you got to jump through.
Oh, definitely. So what led you back down the road to come back to Buffalo and now the president of the Buffalo Music Hall of Fame?
It was a tough decision, to be honest. The main reason is California, the real estate market was just going crazy. It's like you couldn't own anything. And we were paying an exorbitant amount of money for rent. And I got married, and my wife at the time was like, we should move back to Buffalo. And she wasn't from Buffalo. I'm like, are you serious? My father was having health issues. And I was super close to my dad. He was like my best friend, one of my best friends. And, we decided to move back. And I figured with the way the internet was going, I could maintain my clientele. Right. And I did lose some clientele because there's, something about being in the right time and place in the face. But I still maintained Xtream Audio. I still do it today. And we moved back here, and, kind of feeling like I was a big fish in a small pond from, being on the, being with the Grammys and then other organizations. I'm like, I need an organization to get part of. And there's a gentleman in the Hall of Fame, and everybody knows him, named Al Hurry. And Al's like, you know what? You need to go check out and talk to these people, because I think you'd be great for the Hall of Fame. And I went out, and they're like, well, just come around. And they were waiting to see if I would show up and help out. So I just started showing up and helping out. This is probably about 18 years ago, maybe 18 years ago. And then I'm like, you guys should think about this. I did this for the Grammys. I did this. And then I ended up being elected as secretary, and then went to vice president. And then, eventually I moved, elected to the presidency. And it's an organization that I love. We're just trying to highlight all these amazing individuals who've done these great things that have ties to Buffalo and Western New York. And I think we've come a long way. And, we still have a long way to go, but we're definitely making things happen.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the things I think so many people don't realize, because every time there's a conversation, be it a show or a podcast, and you bring up the word Buffalo, all everybody knows is, oh, you guys got a lot of snow, your sports teams are struggling, this and that. You know what? There's a great community in Buffalo. There's a lot of talented people, a lot of talented artists, a lot of talented musicians, that really don't get highlighted enough. And that's what we need to do here. And that's what we need to show folks. And, we're glad you have, places like the Buffalo Music Hall of Fame to do that. And so many of the different clubs around here, we know they're struggling right now. We hope they get things worked out. But,
Yes.
But I just can't believe that, because that's just like the story. I've listened to interviews with people that are from the Western New York area, and that's the first topic on their mind is when you mention the word Buffalo. It's not all about that, folks. All right, if you're listening to this, it's not all about that. It's a great community of people, activities. There's always a festival, always something to do all the time.
Oh my God, there's so many musical things going on in the summer. It's crazy. And the thing that people don't realize, and I encourage you to go to Buffalo Music Hall of Fame.org or Buffalo. We've got a bunch of different URLs, buffalomusic.org, and read about these people who have done these incredible things. Like, oh my gosh, I can't even explain like some of the depth of people, from the people, the Modern Airs, and people who've, invented or the polymove, to these incredible people who've done these amazing things that you would never think have happened, like someone who's been scoring all these movies for Spider-Man and all these movies in Bollywood. And, there's just people that you don't know that they've done these incredible things. And there are a lot of them. And there are a lot more that are going to be go into the Hall of Fame, because they're, we're reaching out, we're finding these incredible things. And this, back in the day, Buffalo was a major hub, right. And now, I think it's one of the few cities that still has this burgeoning music scene, because all the other major metropolitan areas, they knocked all the clubs down and they made condos or they did something else. And we're lucky. We've got space. We've got a lot of room to grow. So the clubs are staying open. And it allows the Buffalo musician to get in right in high school. If they want to play in a club, they can work their way up. Like I say, you can play at a laundromat here with an open mic. And then next, you're playing town ballroom, or there's festivals with this. You're playing in front of 1,000 people at Riverfest or the Tonawanda, what do you call it? The festivals that they have there. Yeah. So it's an incredible breeding ground for great musicians and a great place to grow.
Definitely. And the other industry that's been recognizing this a lot is the movie industry. We're getting more and more films here. They're building a production studio. I believe they're putting together something in a soundstage. They're going to be doing that to have more movies, and that's going to start to grow here as well. So there's so many opportunities that can come about here,
Absolutely.
So what else is going on with? Yep, I'm sorry.
I hope that sparks the music community as well, because they're going to need people to do things for those studios, the movie studios.
Exactly.
So we'll see. I hope we're in the right place.
Yeah, right place at the right time. That's definitely how it has to go.
Yeah.
So you're also going to be having some gigs coming up, I think, also that you're going to be playing on. You want to tell folks about that a little bit?
Sure. So I've been very fortunate enough in the past 5 to 7 years of releasing music. I was doing it with a band, A&L, with this amazing vocalist Lana Marie, and then COVID came, and then that that kind of ended. And then I was releasing music on my own, and those two entities have had a lot of charts overseas. So I've garnered a lot of attention from that. Like the last song that you played, my recent release hit number 3 on the independent charts in the UK. So I have a wonderful promoter who's like, let's see if we can get you some gigs. So I need, I'm going to go on a tour, but I need some video content. So September 6th, and this is what's consuming me right now. I'm practicing and promoting this. As I'm going to have a concert. It's at Rob's Playhouse Theater. It's an old school that they bought, and it's a small theater, and it's on Elmwood, towards the Sheridan area in Kenmore or Kenton, I guess. And
right next door to Dandelions there, right?
Oh, no,
Is
no,
that
no.
where it
That's
is?
the Amherst one. This is
Oh.
now a new space.
Oh,
It's
new
a big
space.
theater.
Okay.
Oh, big
All right.
stage. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is, this is going to be a benefit for the Villa Maria Music Department, where I'm the chair of that department. So it means a lot to me. And we're going to do some scholarship for some extra music lessons for some students. And then this concert's going to be filmed, and we're going to rebroadcast it in Europe. I've got a distributor wants the whole concert, and then they want 4 of the singles that I have cut up, and then it's going to be like Anthony Casuccio month in October with their music magazine TV show, and I think they're going to end every show with a live song of mine every week. So
Excellent.
I'm excited about that. Yeah. So I want people to be there. I want to get a really good crowd. It's if you go to Rob's Playhouse Theater, you can see the link there, or if you go to on Facebook, Anthony Casuccio Music, you'll see the links there for the show. I've got a great opening act. It's 2 former star students of mine. They're going to do an acoustic set. And I've got Onyx Productions, who is incredible. I highly recommend these people for a light show. So we're going to have, lights and lasers and all that, and put on a really good show for a good cause. And I just, I'd love to see people out there and come join and cheer me on and be part of the live taping and broadcast of this.
And that sounds amazing. So great, man. So much stuff you got going on. So much history, man. Just keep going forward with that. That's beautiful. And then, like I said,
I'm always doing something. I'm always moving my feet.
Got to keep doing it nowadays. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Anthony, thank you so much for spending some time with us today, catching us up on what's going on, man. We look forward to your show.
Thank you.
Love the new music, man, and keep us in the loop on what's happening.
Absolutely. I appreciate, you bringing me on, man. I've been following you, everything you're doing, and really, I got to say, it's amazing how you're supporting the community. So keep it going.
Thanks. I really appreciate it. All right, man.
All right.
Have a good night.
Thank you.